Your daily out with me.
Yeah! Hey, everybody, it's a program. We're on TV once again, once a day, every day. Turn on the machines and we start talking. We're going to be here for an hour.
Just in the nick of time.
Oh, we were walking in and the thing started recording. We just started going. We showed up. Wow, how did we do it? How did we know when to start?
It almost did it by itself.
Look, we did it.
Almost.
Again, we did it again. We've started again. We've made it. Hopefully we'll live. Whoa, what are you doing? Carl's hitting stuff immediately.
I'm being silly.
No, you're breaking. You're trying to break stuff.
No.
Carl's getting violent immediately. We just started, Carl.
Damn it, Carl, you and your violence.
Chill out a little bit.
Yeah. I was like...
We've just started.
Pretending, the whole keyboard, punching the keyboard.
That was not pretend. Yeah, you hit it.
What keyboard were you assaulting?
Never mind. Dan, what have you seen on the streets?
Why are you hitting stuff? It's Monday. We're back on the couch again after a week of Dan's back on the couch after a week. We've been here.
It's been one entire week. 100 and something hours. Let's see. 24.
More like over 200.
24 times 10 would be 240. 24 times 5 would be 120. So
yeah, well, 25 times 7 is 175, right?
So
175, and then that's...
Well, what are you timing 25?
25 times 6,
24.
Right? Or 7.
175.
And 25.
Divided by 7?
No, 24.
168 hours in a week.
There's no 25 hours in a day. It's 24 hours
Well, you
in
just
a day.
minus
168 hours. I think in a week. I just did the math myself here. 168 hours in a week.
That's very good head math you did right there.
168 hours ago, Dan was here approximately, probably close to that. Well, actually, we did the show earlier last week, I think.
Well, or it was...
Actually, a little less than that.
7 hours ago.
We're starting the program...
If people are marathoning this program, it's not quite that long. It's only 7 hours.
Well, we did the show. We did the show earlier last Monday.
Yeah, we did. It was earlier in the afternoon, so it's probably closer to 172 or 173 hours.
Well, but if people are marathoning your daily hour with me, that's
no
only
time
7 hours ago.
We're talking about our time and not their time.
That's right.
Well, their time is more important because there's more of them than there is.
I think
that's only. If
I would say both times are equally important.
Well,
yes.
No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan, what have you seen on the streets?
Yeah, how are you doing today?
What have I seen on the streets?
How was the week for you?
The week went pretty uneventful. I worked, I played, I worked, I slept, I ate. Last couple of nights, because I don't really remember much in the way of events this week, I did some drunk painting last night and this morning. Although I was not drunk this morning.
I was going to say,
I just call it drunk painting because the same people were there doing art, but we weren't drinking because it was too damn early in the day to start drinking.
If you would have been drunk painting last night and you woke up, start drinking again right when you wake up.
Oh, God, no, never do that.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, never do that. But actually, the highlight of the week was you guys doing the program at the station.
Yeah, we won.
And giving out the Cream of the County Awards.
There they are. There's Carl's award.
Do you have a sense on how many people rendered their opinion regarding their favorite this, that, or the other thing? How many? Do you have a guess?
I hear 22 people voted for my ballot.
22.
I'm happy for those 22 people in Thurston County.
Just a sense of the total number of people that
probably
actually
voted. 20-ish.
Really, that's it?
Very few.
Really?
Very few. Very unrealistic.
No,
I voted.
No, it's realistic.
I mean, I think the award. I mean, we told everybody to vote for
we need to keep this facade.
Do we? I don't think. I think it's the opposite.
Oh man, I was so lying through my teeth then because I told people, oh yeah, they talk to everyone that calls in the program and
yeah, we did. We talked to all those people, but how many people is that? We talked to everybody who came through the studio, but it's
22 some odd.
Yeah, how many
maybe
people?
30.
How many people on the phone and stuff?
Well, okay, just to give you a sense.
50.
You, Freddie, me, and Carl voted.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 4 right to start.
Yeah.
How do you call for the three of this four?
Well, Freddie. Also,
Oh,
I'm sure
yes,
he voted.
Freddie.
Yeah, and
I'm going
Bird.
to assume his girlfriend voted.
Kirsten voted.
Yeah, okay.
Bird.
But we can't
that's
count for
6 right
everyone because
Insu.
maybe
Did he really vote?
Yeah, on the phone.
Okay, that's
maybe
7.
Dan Dobler didn't vote, or
didn't really vote. John Webb. Oh no, John Webster really we couldn't get him to vote.
no,
Okay.
He tried to vote, but it was hard to communicate with him.
like it kind of always is with him.
Mandy
But
voted.
that's okay.
Everybody, lots of people voted. So
When?
Yeah.
Well, just to get a sense, when did you guys start taking votes for the cream of the county? Like how long before the event?
probably
2 months ago, one
Yeah, I keep
month.
thinking it was
Couple
a
of months.
month or two beforehand.
couple of months.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So do you? How often do you have a new guest?
it doesn't
on
matter how
average?
many people voted. The votes are real, and the award we gave them out, and they're
Well, that's the
official.
facade. That's the facade that the
What?
votes are real.
The votes are real. The votes are official.
Yeah.
And whoever won
But
Is the winner.
Is the winner.
But it's not necessarily indicative of a wide community opinion.
Oh no, it's certainly
not-
wide in my
not
case.
No, it's not. It
Representative.
doesn't matter about the.
The
opi-
whole county
It's-
voted that I was the best
It's not about
digital
opinions.
artist.
It's about facts. Whoever won is the best.
All right.
It was
there's-
countywide in my case.
It's not. It's not opinions. We tried to.
Thank you, Thurston County.
when we
Well, I'll
asked-
tell you.
When I asked people to vote, though, I asked them to try to keep their opinion out of it and say what is the best, not what's your favorite, not what you like. What's the best? So, whatever it was, these are the best. It's the best.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. What I thought was really amazing is folks from the city of Olympia, attended, which that's a first.
Yeah.
We had a
For sure.
representative from Big Tom's. 3,
Yeah, we
actually.
did.
You know what I would
That's
really
up,
like
that's a
though?
first.
If the mayor showed up.
Russ, the owner of the local grocery outlet,
Yeah, he showed up.
he showed up.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Bucksbaum.
Yeah, and
Mr. Buckbum's a big fan.
it's kind of wild. He's the owner, but he's quiet and he's unassuming, and he's got a handshake that resembles a carp.
I never met him before, but
Carp.
that's not very nice to say, I think.
It's really a soft, mushy.
Oh, a carpet. Carp.
Carp.
Oh, he was a nice guy.
A fish, like something that
Carbohydrate?
doesn't really move much. It's not cold and clammy, but he didn't have a strong handshake, and
That's okay. He's
that-
not a politician.
it troubled me.
He's the best. He owns the best grocery
I
store in
am a
Thurston County.
politician.
Yeah, I
I'm
would
running
agree.
for office. So,
I don't know. You've shaken people.
Shake my hand.
You've shaken.
I'll kiss a baby.
Shooken people's
I'm
hands.
got-
right?
kissing babies
Yeah.
left and right.
You've shooken
Yeah,
people's
no.
hands in there. And some people do a really firm, solid handshake.
Yeah, that's like an old timey thing, though. Nobody. That whole
Old-timey?
handshake.
Yeah, but I'm old
That's
timey
old-timey.
though.
I think the whole handshake thing is overrated. I don't even like the handshake. It's awkward. I think.
Yes, it is.
Keep your
Okay.
distance away from me, sir.
Is this person gonna judge me on how I like? I better like you look at
Yeah.
me,
Yes.
like I better give a
Yes.
firm handshake.
Yes.
How firm is this? And you say, I'm so firm. I'm tough. I'm a tough guy. I have a strong handshake. I
I'm
know.
Arnold
but
Schwarzenegger.
I'm okay with
I'm
this.
gonna crush your hand.
And just to impress you, I will crush your head.
That is the worst Arnold Schwarzenegger.
You will be impressed with the broken bones of your hand. Oh, my hand is crushed. You must be a strong charactered individual.
If I have to shake
Which is
somebody's hand,
not true.
I think it's weird. I try to.
Handshakes?
No, when people are leaving, there's a big group of people.
Yeah.
And,
It's like,
they're shaking hands. I try to see if I can do a wave. Sometimes it works out.
or brush
know,
your hand.
you shake-
hair.
Everybody's shaking their hands, and I say thank you. And I kind of give a little wave, and then sometimes that works. Sometimes they're still going in for it. Okay. Or maybe you try to give them one of the fist bumps, something like that.
Yeah, well, I'm one of these weirdos that likes hugs.
Yeah, that is.
And that makes most people uncomfortable unless
Here's a
they've got to know.
factoid for you. I will only hug women.
Well,
Usually.
you won't hug Dan?
No, well, there
Dan
have
wants
been
a hug. Hug
cases.
Dan. You should hug Dan right now. Come on.
Thank you, Dan.
Oh, you're
I think
welcome.
oh, see,
That's a
nice.
hug.
You shouldn't just hug women.
Well, you do this.
Well,
There you go. There you go. If you just hug women, that's creepy. Very creepy. Like extremely creepy. Like top of the line creepy.
I hug way more women than I hug
Yes, I
men.
have a meat cleaver right underneath my pillow. Thank you.
And
Really?
especially-
You're a meat cleaver murderer, not an axe murderer?
You should keep that to yourself about hugging women only, because that is totally weird.
Well, I don't want to copulate with men.
Yeah, but you're trying to. Are you saying
Yeah,
that every
but,
time you hug somebody, you're trying to copulate them? Do you hug your mother?
Not usually, no.
No. All right. Well.
Granted, hugs.
My mom is too old to get
To hug?
a hug.
Hey, you're too old to hug, Mom.
Well, or I'm too old to hug her usually.
Too old to hug your mother? You're never too old to hug your mother, Carl.
Oh Lord.
I will.
So, Dad, what have you seen on the
I
street?
tend to hug women way more than I hug men.
There you go.
Men are generally uncomfortable
Yeah.
by being hugged by another man.
Or the
It's usually like a bro hug
huggy
with a little pat
is
on the back.
uncomfortable.
I try not to hug anybody. But
Just don't hug the toilet after drinking.
now everybody I see is on the street's gonna try to hug me.
Porcelain toilet.
It's okay. I do whatever the other person is
Or
doing. But
Hug the bull.
I just think that
Porcelain
it's
bowl.
the whole judging other people's character on their handshake is outdated.
Fake.
Well,
Definitely.
men have been doing the handshake thing for, oh my God, thousands
For
of
too
years.
long. It's
Thousands of years, and it's only recently that it's not as culturally popular per se.
Or hip.
Not as hip among the younger generation, the Generation X or Y or whatever Gen
Hip
X
to
or
be
whatever
square.
the next group is.
Yeah.
Whatever they're called.
I think Carl's X.
Hip to be
Carl,
square.
you're a Gen Xer?
Yeah. Well, born in 75, so
Yeah.
that's
Carl's
Generation
Gen
X.
Well,
What's
but
before
then-
Gen X?
Well,
baby boomers?
Baby boomers. I am right on that line. Baby boomer and Gen X. I'm right on the line.
I think you're baby boomer.
Baby boomer is supposedly between 1960 and 65.
Oh, okay.
That the baby boomer era ended.
40 to 65.
So you're after
And
that a little
that's
bit?
only because the baby boom was right after the war.
Uh-huh.
In the
Well,
very
that's
late 40s.
45 to 65.
Yeah, but
Well,
and I was born in
1942.
63, so I'm right on the edge. And,
Well, yeah.
and these are baby boomers that are having their last kids,
Yeah.
right? They started having kids in the 50s and stopped having kids in the mid 60s or so.
Yeah.
So I'm right on the edge. I feel more like a Gen X than I do a baby boomer, just because I identify with way more things regarding Gen X than I do with any kind of baby boomer or anything.
Good.
Okay.
I'm ahead of my time. I fast forwarded several years and made it into the Gen X just enough to tell others that that's what I am, whether I am or not. That's my claim. It's my handshake claim, and I will shake your hand on it. Yeah.
How about the streets?
And then I will hug you.
How about the streets, Dan?
Please.
The streets, nothing but puddles and dead leaves and
Certainly within the last 24 hours, yeah.
Yeah, puddles.
occasionally a hummingbird.
You saw a hummingbird?
Oh,
in
yeah,
the winter?
yeah, there's-
Or in the
there's-
fall, I mean?
Yeah, there's my
usually-
neighbors
I don't know where
across
they
the
go.
parking lot have these little hummingbird houses, and they have feed
Yeah,
for the hummingbirds
no,
birds that they regularly feed the hummingbirds, and these it's a family of
What,
rufous
Carl?
hummingbirds.
Aren't they supposed to be in Guatemala by now?
Is that where they go?
They're
Fly south, please.
I don't know what percentage of hummingbirds migrate, but
Yeah, Carl.
there are 2 or 3 species or families or races of hummingbirds that don't migrate if there is a consistent amount of food.
Uh-huh.
If they and the rufous is a variety of hummingbird that lives up and down from the bottom of Vancouver Island, that area, all the way down to Mexico. And
Yep.
they will migrate up and down the I-5 corridor, more or less. But my neighbors, they have food for them all the time, and so there's hummingbirds flying around there
They
all
never
the
leave,
time.
yeah.
Wow.
They're,
Yeah,
not,
and they
they're
will-
defying nature by feeding them all the time.
Oh my God, they will fly across the parking lot and then make a dead stop 2 feet from my face. They'll just come right at me.
They're,
and they'll
they're
like,
domesticated.
Yeah, and they'll stop and fly around and chirp. They have these tiny, tiny little click-like sounding chirps.
Yeah.
And when they're pissed off, they click, 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 click. Yeah.
Well, I wonder
It's
where all
like
the
a
where all the
squeaky
animals
whatever.
go. Like where are all the squirrel? Are the squirrels like sleeping, or bees? Where are all the bees when it's the winter time?
Well, I think they
or the
die
fall?
off.
Yeah, but well, how do they come back if they're dead?
Well, they reproduce through maybe the eggs or whatever that are the larvae that they have in the honeycomb.
I think what happens is the queen lays a whole bunch of eggs, and the eggs sit
Oh, that's why she
until it
gets
gets
her
warm, and a new queen
superiority.
emerges. Yeah, and sometimes there will be 2 or
wow.
3 queens, and they'll fight. Or the first queen that emerges finds the other queen larva and kills them or eats
Death
them.
match.
But
Yeah.
so at the end of the summer, the queens hide their eggs somewhere.
I think so. They're the larvae themselves go into hibernation, I think.
Huh.
And a coworker has hives. She has hives of bees.
Ooh,
Coworker?
And yeah,
You mean
and
like
it's-
Freddie is
no,
a coworker?
Vicky.
Vicky.
Yeah. And so she's been doing bees all summer long, all this year.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she's watched them. It's really crazy. Occasionally, the hive gets really, really big,
Yeah.
and a second queen will emerge, either spontaneously or will be woken up or something like that. And a new queen will get up there, and half of the bees will fly off with her.
Wow.
And the hive will split.
Really?
Yeah, there's a bunch of terms for it. They'll do this kind of nuptial flying. They'll swarm around, and then half of the bees will go off with the new queen, and the other half will stay with the old queen, and they'll continue on. And so yeah, that's what they do. And then they all swarm, and they'll fly, and they'll find another tree, and the queen will pick some new home for them, and they'll build a hive.
Wow.
So they'll split as a gift from my axe?
What are you doing today, Carl? Are you okay?
Yes.
Carl's been really excited for the past 3 days. Maybe it's since you got your award. I don't know. Is that award gonna hype you up? He's just
I'm
giggling
sorry,
and saying weird
just
things. He's
chill
getting-
out. But I do want to ask you.
Carl's on a bender. I have a feeling. Carl, are you taking up coffee?
Well, at least
crack?
I'm not using the Bender app
What about
or
the
Tinder or whatever.
what about the
That
red?
would be a real problem for all of Thurston County.
Are you engaged in the drinking of Red Bull and those other energy
Or
drinks?
the Dew, probably.
The
You've
Dew. That
no.
would do it.
been hyping it up on the Dew
don't-
extra hard?
Are you doing the Dew?
Don't do it. Don't do it. No.
Are you Dewified?
Probably. But anyway, no. If a hummingbird comes up to you, are you painted, from head to waist again? Because they're trying to, drink
No, I
that
think he's.
nectar water.
I think he's just coming to check me out.
Oh.
You're not trying to eat
Because
you?
a hummingbird, I suppose he could stick his little beak in my ear
Yeah.
or up my nose. I suppose. It's not
Well,
real nutritious. I don't
Okay,
think.
that's all I wanted to know.
Not a whole lot of sugar
I'm
water
gonna
in
sign
those
off in
two
the program now.
orifices.
Just press buttons. Maybe.
Oh, I've had this urge to get the little feeders
Uh-huh.
and put the sugar water in them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that for a while and thinking maybe of doing that, and that way the birds will come up, because I'll go in front of my apartment and smoke, and it'd be kind of cool if there were a little feeder there and the little birds that go there, and we could watch them. But I did a little research on hummingbirds. I was kind of curious at first if hummingbirds lived in Washington, if they were popular here, or if it was a home for hummingbirds. And there's 3 or 4 different species that are here frequently. There are some that migrate here briefly and then go back, and some that stay here longer and then migrate south. But for the most part, the rufous is here or can be here year long. And it's got a little red throat and a green head.
Hmm.
And so when you see a hummingbird flying around, it's probably one of those. And the males are kind of dull. No, the males are really bright and pretty, and the females not so much.
Really? So that's how you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
Which ones are going at your place?
They're rufous. During the summer, I've seen a different variety that was, I think, blue and purple. Or more purple than anything.
Yeah, let's play the dice game. We're
Real-
having here, getting out
real-
some pens, we're writing some numbers on our hands between 1 and 6.
Real pretty iridescent colors on those things.
We're trying to visualize the future. We're going to see if this works. I'm visualizing now.
I am looking ahead into the future. I'm looking ahead 3 minutes from now. I'm looking ahead.
Here we go.
I'm seeing a 3. I'm trying to see a 3. I want to see a 3. I'm picturing a 3. It may not actually be a 3, but that's what I've decided. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah. I'm telling myself I'm seeing a 3. It could be an M, right? Or it could be a W,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if I hold it that way, then it's a W. It's that way, it's an M. If it's that way, it's some other language.
E.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. 6.
Oh, I was deceived. My
Carl.
remote future viewer.
Oh.
Carl's a winner.
Did it.
Well, that's convenient. You picked a 6 and then rolled a 6.
Yeah,
blah,
you
blah,
cheating?
blah. Blah, blah, blah. So there. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Some
Carl's
blah,
a
blah.
cheater.
You.
Carl's a
Yeah.
possible cheater. Okay, let's call Freddie the producer. I want to find out how the production end is going. Did you shake the hands of everybody? Like you chatted, you probably chatted up the award winners more than I did.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was sitting at the front desk, and so I talked to them when they came in and talked to them before they left.
Yeah, I didn't really talk to them hardly at all.
Oh, I
wanted
was kind of amazed. They stayed there for the whole daily hour.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk to them more on the show, but they didn't want to sit there and chat. They just wanted to get their award and get off the thing. I was trying to chat them up a little bit, but it didn't work that well. I didn't. But yeah.
Hi, you've reached Frederick Stobler. If you leave me a message with your name and number, I'll call you back as soon as I can.
He's
Thanks.
probably driving right now.
Yeah. Hey,
That's,
Freddie.
that's my phone.
We're doing the. Are you waving at Freddie? We're doing. You can't see it on the. I mean, you can see maybe if you're watching.
We're waving at you right
See you
now,
later.
Freddie. That's what we're doing.
You can call us back. Maybe you're doing that thing where you're driving, dancing, you're driving. So. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I didn't know what science to talk about today,
Uh huh.
and so I asked a couple friends that gave me a ride here, because I was doing a dinner thing with some friends, and I got a ride back, and things ran late, and so I just had them drop me off here by the studio,
Okay.
and I'm like, oh man, I don't know what kind of science to talk about. Oh, what am I gonna talk about? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, well, just randomly think of, some random science thing that you think might be interesting. And they're like, oh, I know, the science of bombs.
Oh, I don't like that.
And I'm like, well, do you know how a nuclear bomb works?
Oh, that's dark.
And they're like, no. So I could explain how a nuclear bomb works.
Really? Can you
Yeah.
Can you tell us how?
Fission
how about
or
power?
fusion?
How about nuclear power?
Nuclear power?
Something nicer. I don't want to.
Well, there's fusion and fission.
Bombs are a bummer.
Yeah, I don't
No
really
bombs.
care for bombs
Yeah.
at all. But they use fusion
Mm.
as opposed to fission. Okay, so a nuclear power plant is surprisingly simple, but it's utterly dangerous and dirty and toxic. And they say clean energy. No, it is not clean. It is dirty. It's very dirty. But they say clean because there's no smokestacks.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty dirty energy. Okay, so there are the chemical elements, the periodic elements that you've all seen in science school, and there's about 102. on the periodic table, and uranium is way up there. I forget what because there is an atomic number, and there is an atomic weight. There's an atomic number, an atomic weight, and then there's a few other numbers because there are isotopes. So essentially, uranium is an atom with a whole bunch of protons and a whole bunch of neutrons. And if you looked at it, if the components, if the protons and neutrons looked like little balls, which you could literally picture them as little balls, and it would be 180. No, it's 287, 282 something. Anyway, it would be a whole bunch of these balls stuck together, and then there would be layers and layers and layers of these energy shells that are electrons.
Okay.
That hover in these shells in greater and greater distances and in shell shapes that are farther and farther apart from the nucleus of the atom. And with large atoms, like large atoms with protons and neutrons, large ones, where you have a lot of protons, you have to have for the atom, for uranium, uranium to be stable, you need a lot of neutrons, because the neutrons provide space between the protons. Because the protons are positively charged, they push away from each other. And the neutrons are neutral, and so they provide a little space between the protons so that the protons can be organized in a way that they can be far enough away together, but they still stick together due to their mutual nuclear force that keeps them together. So you got uranium, and what will happen is scientists will take a pile of uranium and they will shoot neutrons at it, slow neutrons, and the neutrons eventually stick. And so they will take these neutrons and stick to them, and they will fire protons at them, and the protons will stick if there's enough neutrons in there, and they will literally create a new element. And the next one in line is plutonium, and plutonium is an artificial element that human beings have created.
Really?
And it's just got
I didn't know
one more proton than uranium.
Okay.
But they're isotopes. And isotopes, let's take something simple like oxygen. And oxygen has 8 protons and 8 neutrons and 8 electrons floating around it. Okay? And you can have an isotope of oxygen that has an extra neutron to it. So it would have 8 protons and 9 neutrons. And there's another isotope with 10 neutrons.
Okay.
And the more neutrons that you add, the less stable the isotope is, and at some point a neutron goes flying off. It just goes pew, it spring-loaded shoots off. And then you've got this radiation, and that's part of the reason that elements are radioactive, because they give off one of 4 different things. They can shoot off a proton, they can shoot off an electron, they can shoot off a neutron, or they can shoot off a gamma ray. So there's 4 different kinds of radiations that radioactive elements give off that are dangerous to one degree or another.
Okay.
Now, if you had a radioactive element and all that it did was shoot off electrons, you could protect yourself by holding up a piece of paper in front of that radioactive element, and the paper would be a sufficient shield against these high-speed electrons that are shooting in your direction at 50,000 miles an hour.
Electricity is?
No,
Oh.
no. Electricity is kind of like a combined current of billions and billions of electrons that are all kind of following a similar path
Oh, okay.
with each other. Okay, and then the radioactive element can give off a neutron. And neutrons are not very good because they are like these speeding bullets that will land on you and they will penetrate your skin, and then this neutron will stick to something and create an isotope of that thing, whatever atom it sticks to in your body. So it might hit iron or oxygen or hydrogen, probably not hydrogen, calcium, potassium, any kind of element that's floating in your body, and create an isotope off of it. And eventually that neutron will separate from that atom, and it might break in the process, it might break the atom into two. If you take oxygen and break it into two equal parts, you'll have two, let's see, hydrogen, helium, lithium, boron. I think, yeah, you'll have two boron atoms.
Wow.
So, but it might not break evenly. You might get a 6 proton thing, which is carbon, or you might, and a 2 proton thing, which is helium. And so you'll get two breaking off. Usually what happens when it comes to the great big ones, they will break into two, and you'll get a lead atom that's highly radioactive because it has way, way too many neutrons in it, and you'll get like a cesium atom. And typically what happens when you have a pile of uranium or a pile of plutonium, it gives off all kinds of radiation all the time, and as these atoms break down and split and break down, you'll get cesium 84, cesium 85, and cesium 86, and these are the isotopes with these extra neutrons. The Fukushima in Japan is still radioactively hot, and it is constantly leaking radioactive water into the sea.
Ooh.
And it's got a marker. It's a cesium isotope that is very, very distinctive. And you can take water and isolate. You can.
Carl, what are you doing?
I know.
No,
I'm kind of. I'm not.
No.
I'm not very interesting.
Trying to not
I'm
have
interested.
a microphone in my face so that
I'm interested.
not
Carl's always
talkative.
making boring gestures.
No, I'm not bored.
I saw you doing these gestures.
Yeah, I heard noises.
No, it was like sick feeling, like
Okay, so
right.
so anyway,
cesium in my body now.
our rain as a result of Fukushima is slightly radioactive.
Really, I was in that all today. Yeah.
Slightly. Like for every raindrop, there might be a little bit of cesium or a little bit of
Really.
yeah, radioactive calcium.
I already have
potassium.
rainwater on myself right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
I'm
like
glowing right now.
it's like 1%
the lights
stronger radioactive wise than
Glowing.
the average that we're used to experiencing.
All right, because I
Yeah.
feel okay. Hopefully, I'm not being radioactive.
Oh, just a tiny.
I'm
bit,
getting
just
a third
bit.
eyeball right here growing
yeah, well,
like
I think
that
you're just gonna get
fish.
cancer. Really.
I'm developing a set of 2 new arms,
Yeah, I'm getting.
or Clathu on my stomach.
I'm just getting cancer. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty much.
Yeah, Klaatu, isn't it Klaatu or Clathu or whatever from Total Recall? This guy had this little
Oh, yes.
guy, and it was
Yeah.
like Klaatu.
No, I thought you were referring to that giant silver robot in the day the Earth stood still. I thought that was Klaatu.
Klaatu.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Maybe it's Clathu. I'm not sure. Anyway, so in nuclear fission, what happens is you'll have this rod, and it has a loosely distributed ceramic that holds this uranium or plutonium in place. And as the atoms split, they throw out an electron and a proton and a neutron and a gamma ray and a little bit of heat. And at any given moment, this nuclear rod is having 10,000 atoms spontaneously split into other radioactive atoms at any given rate, and so these rods produce a great deal of heat. And so what they do is they take these rods. Actually, they're spheres that are put into a rod.
Okay.
They're a whole bunch of spheres. They want as much surface area as possible to put
Like-
the uranium
Like
in.
a tube of tennis balls.
Yeah, essentially.
Uh-huh.
Or a tube of marbles.
Okay.
Or little beads, maybe.
Oh,
It
they're
might be-
smaller.
Yeah,
So they're,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not, they're
they're-
not like individual. That's what I was picturing.
No, they're fairly small. They're
okay.
they're maybe the size of large marbles or small marbles. And so what they'll do is they will stick like 24 or 50,
Uh-huh.
or 30 or 40 of these rods. They will immerse them in this thing of water,
Yeah.
right? And the water is self-contained and the rods are self-contained, and they will immerse in the water, and these rods heat the water to boiling.
Okay.
And once the water starts boiling, they will siphon the water through a series of tubes, and these tubes will in turn heat a separate system of water, right? This water will go through a series of tubes, and it will spiral around another tube of water, and it will heat a separate self-contained group of water and get that boiling.
Okay.
And so radioactive water will indirectly heat non-radioactive water, and that non-radioactive water will become very, very hot and boiling, and then they send that water past turbines that spin as a result and generate electricity.
Okay.
So there's a secondary transfer of turning heat into work, and the work turns the turbine produces electricity, and voila, bada bing, bada boom. And that's how a nuclear generator power plant works. And at Fukushima, what happened is the tsunami and earthquake broke the casing, cracked the casing that held the water that kept these rods from overheating, because they would get so hot that the ceramic would melt, they would
Wow.
melt the cement, and they would will even melt metal. It gets stupid crazy hot, these things.
Yeah.
And so what happened is they had a meltdown. They had two
Dude, like
meltdowns.
lava, huh?
They-
Melted cement.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it'll melt cement.
It's like lava.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because the rock in it only needs to get up to, 1,200 degrees, 1,500 degrees before it turns into a liquid.
Wow.
Depending on the element. Some elements liquefy at a cooler temperature than others. It just depends on the element and their mixture and this sort of thing. So it melts, and then it keeps on melting down, down, down further until it's sitting in a pool of liquid molten rock.
Uh-huh.
And it gets worse from there. So what they do is they dump seawater into the opening, and they keep it flooded with seawater to keep the rods from further melting. And of course, being seawater is expendable. They pour seawater in, the seawater pours out and then goes into the ocean.
What?
And you get very, very highly radioactive water pouring into the ocean as they try and cool this thing down until they can set up some sort of a self-contained water circulation thing, so that they can put cool water in the bath that these rods are in and keep it from boiling away, because the
So,
water will slowly boil
How
away.
come this stuff is not just or getting really hot all the time? Like, where do they have to activate the stuff, or like?
No. Well, normally they discovered radioactive material back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And they knew that they were theoretically possible. Scientists had figured out enough of the elements that they knew that there are some that would need a lot of neutrons to be able to be stable. And Madame Curie of France was one of the first people that studied radiation.
Mm-hmm.
She learned what it was and how it worked, and created tests.
She ended up
of
radiating
and her
herself to death,
husband-
right?
Yeah. She died fairly young. But they didn't know. They didn't know what the radiation was, why it did what it did, why it was hot. Because they would find uranium ore, and the uranium ore was warm.
Yeah.
It stayed just warm. It was warm to the touch. And then you'd put the rock down and you'd see all these little burns on your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because your hand has just been bombarded with electrons, neutrons, protons, and gamma rays that does damage to your skin and your bones and the tissue inside. And that looks just like a burn. It is a burn.
But so they find all this stuff. Is it that they put it together?
So what they do is they take a big pile of what is called yellow cake, and this is refined uranium ore that's in a powder, and it's yellowish.
Okay.
And what they do is they take that and they melt it and condense it into these little spheres.
Okay.
And they'll refine it and concentrate it. And what you do is you take this material and you stick it in a centrifuge. And the heavier elements float down to the bottom as you spin it around.
Yeah.
And centrifuges are used for all kinds of chemical separation of things. All kinds. A centrifuge is really useful when trying to separate lighter elements from heavier elements. Well, they do that with uranium as well.
So wouldn't all this radiation exist if, like, whether or not we use the power?
Yeah. Well, the uranium is slightly more concentrated in certain veins of minerals than elsewhere.
Yeah.
There is an element called radon, where the element is in a gas form, and it leaches from the ground all the time. We are exposed to various kinds of radiation all the time, but in incredibly low doses, in incredibly small amounts. It's hardly anything. It's like if you had one of those radiation detectors that gave off a little click or a beep or a flash every time an electron went spinning by, or a proton or a neutron or a gamma ray or something like that. You know, you'd hear a click, click, click,
Yeah.
click. But you get close to let's say that VHS tape right there was radioactive, you'd hear click, 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 click,
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
And fusion is a completely different creature.
Okay.
The way fusion works. The fusion is you take two hydrogen atoms or two helium atoms, or a hydrogen and a helium, or helium and a lithium, or two lithiums, or something like that, and you put these two atoms or a pile of these atoms together, and you put them under incredible pressure, 1,000,000 times or 100 million times the pressure at sea level here on Earth, and you strip them of their electrons, you highly ionize them. That means all the electrons disappear, and they're floating around doing their own thing, and you compress them, and you force them close together, add a huge amount of energy, and you keep them together. Eventually, two hydrogen atoms collide in such a way that they stick together. And when this happens, they give off a neutrino, one of two different kinds of neutrinos. They give off a gamma ray of a very specific wavelength, and they will give off, I believe, an electron. And it's a process, at least in the sun. And nuclear weapons is an attempt to temporarily, for just a billionth of a second, reproduce those conditions deep inside the sun.
Wow. So how come it doesn't? I mean, is there a chance of chain reaction and we just explode the universe?
No, the only way you could have a chain reaction is if you could maintain that high pressure, high energy situation. And the sun gives off way more energy than it uses, but that's because it's a huge amount of mass, and the mass is what is providing the pressure on the core of the sun. And that's where the fusion is happening. The fusion doesn't really happen on the surface of the sun. It happens deep down in the core. On the surface of the sun, it might be 6,000 degrees, 6,500 degrees on the surface. But the deeper you go in the sun, the hotter it gets. And when you get down to the center, the core of the sun, you have 100 million degrees.
Okay,
or 200
wow.
million degrees or 500 million degrees. It's stupidly
Very hot.
and super dense. And it's so hot and dense that when a fusion thing happens and there's a photon, a gamma ray, the gamma ray bounces around on the inside of the star as it slowly, eventually winds its way out towards the surface.
Wow.
And so it might take 100,000 years. I've heard different terms, 1,000 years, 100,000 years, a million years, for this gamma ray to eventually make its way to the surface of the sun by bouncing around this way and that, bouncing around. And over time, as it is impacting or being bounced off other objects inside the sun, it slowly loses energy. And it goes from a gamma ray to a photon of the energy and wavelength that we can see by. And most of that is in the greeny yellow part of the spectrum. So that's why the sun is the color that it is because of its mass and size and density, that the average photon coming from the surface has lost enough energy that the vast majority of them are this particular wavelength and this particular energy, and we just happen to be able to see it.
Wow.
If the sun were denser and thicker and bigger, the photons would be leaving the surface much sooner, and the light that we would see would be of a shorter wavelength, a little more energy.
Yeah.
And red giants are kind of a different
It would be
creature
hard to see.
Oh, it'd just be bluer.
Oh, okay.
Right? because there are stars that are F giants and A giants and O giants and B giants, and these are stars with 100 times the mass of the sun. They're
What letter is the sun?
a G.
Okay.
G-class star. And
yeah,
and so you start at the very smallest, dimmest stars, and those are M-type stars, and then ones with about half the mass of the sun, getting close to near the same mass of the sun, are K-type stars. They're orange, right? They're a little more matter, a little more heat, a little more light. And then you get a star like ours, which is a G-type star. And then you get another star, a little bigger, a little brighter, is an F-type star. The star Sirius, it's the brightest star in the night sky. Sirius is. It's an F-type star. It's about 9 light years away, 9.2, I believe. And that star is about 2 or 3 times the mass of our sun, and about 20 times brighter.
Wow.
It's if you were to take a square inch of the sun and count the number of photons leaving it at a moment in time, and then you were to take an F-type star and take a square inch and count the number of photons that are leaving at a moment in time, the F-type star has more. There's more light leaving them. Plus, it's a larger sphere, and so it's got a larger surface area, and it's giving off that much light per surface area, so it's going to be brighter as a result. It's bigger with a greater light output, so it's going to be brighter.
Wow.
And you guys know Orion's belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The 3 stars of Orion's belt, those are A and B type stars. These are stars that are probably 50 times the diameter of the sun, and they've got like a single square inch there would be 1,000 times brighter per square inch.
Wow.
These are extremely short-lived stars. They're very, very hot. They're bluish, and they won't live long at all. They might live maybe 100 million years altogether, compared to our sun that will live for 10 billion years, 9 billion, 10 billion. Red dwarfs will live so long. The first red dwarf star that was born in the universe, the absolute first one, 13 billion years ago, will probably continue burning just as bright and be just as stable 100 billion years from now.
Wow.
They have an incredibly long lifetime.
Well, I think we should do all this stuff. Yeah, we're actually getting low on time. Let's do it all. Carl, you want to do all this stuff in a row?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
I, of course, said that I wasn't going to talk in the program anymore.
Did you?
But
why?
Well, yeah.
I don't remember you saying that. Why did you do that?
Yeah,
Why do you?
I would need to do the info time.
You know what's good moderation?
I
Why
even
are
have
you
a
going
comment
from like going crazy
about
to nothing?
yellow cake uranium is like. Didn't George Bush
You had
have
comments
like some
this whole
sort
time and you didn't say this stuff. Now it's too late. All right, here we'll start doing this stuff. Here, what?
And thank you, GE, for that petroleum.
Why don't you
that
do medium?
nuclear plant?
You don't need to stop
GE,
talking
you're
altogether.
awesome.
You get in the middle.
I love
you
GE.
Too much and too little.
Especially that NBC,
No,
which
it's
is
in
now
full time.
Comcast. But thank you, Comcast. No.
You're watching Your
You
Daily
take me out
Hour.
with me. It's an hour-long live call-in television talk show that's recorded every day in Thurston County, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 366 days on leap years. I don't even need this. Your Daily Hour with me started a year ago, or I mean 5 years ago on October,
Channel 22.
16th, 2011. You can call 360-836-4384. Leave message. We'll play your message on the next episode of the program and call you back. I guess.
Okay, if you watch the 2 a.m. episode, it's the one that happened
I
at the
don't
same
need
time
it,
last
but
year.
I need it. Apparently.
Yeah, no
Same
applause
one
today,
last year.
Jesus.
What the
What happened to you
hell
today?
happened, Carl?
Carl's having a problem.
Are you on the Quaaludes? Did you
Time to
drink?
roll the dice game.
Did you drink too many Red
How's
Bulls?
your guts, Carl?
Actually, I'm eating so much soki-yoba that I think I'm being healed. There's
Yakisoba.
medicinal properties within the new noodles that I got at Safeway.
Are they making you insane?
Were you snorting sugar cubes and
Well,
or
no,
crack
actually,
for
there's sugar
tablets
in the.
PCP?
I looked at the ingredient, and one is salt,
does
and two
PCP have sugar?
is sugar, or two is
I don't
sugar.
know, it makes you crazy.
well, just
anyway.
don't snort Drano. It'll kill you. It's a bad
no,
idea. Don't
I'm
do
not
it.
doing that.
Okay, good.
Lay off the PCP, Carl.
Yeah, stop with that PCP, man. Just go sober today. I want threes.
Two.
Is that 2?
4.
What?
I have a 2. I got 500 points.
Oh man, I'm just losing over and over. Well, twice. I lost twice.
Carl's winning
so-
right now. Or me
Okay.
and Carl, right?
Yeah,
Yep,
Yeah.
2,
you
4,
two are
6.
the winners. I'm the
2,
loser.
4, 6.
All right.
Loser.
Commercial.
Yeah, so commercial.
We're doing all this stuff and see if Carl can reach a medium level of talking instead of over much and then
Not enough.
You gotta get in the middle.
Yeah, you're a man of
Middle.
extremes, Carl.
I am a man.
Not usually.
Lord.
No, usually
Today,
you're
yeah,
pretty-
usually you're pretty middle.
Mercy.
But
Yeah.
Mercy, need to
today
get on my
you're
knees and
getting
pray.
really extreme. I don't know what's
Mercy.
happening.
Yeah. Here I'm starting to think you're snorting Pepsi or Coke or Mountain Dew or
10
something.
minutes already.
Yakisoba seasoning. No, I wouldn't
that'd
do
be
that.
fun.
Yeah, everybody. It's the commercial.
We got Freddie on the phone, and we're talking about production news.
And clocks.
Hey, viewers, thanks for tuning in, and thanks to the radio listeners on Koa 106.5 Low Power FM.
No
It's a
longer.
good time.
Mr. Gitsu hangs up on us because I said something that he considered to be, I think, rude or something.
He's a little crass. Tune in at 11:30 p.m. and 2 a.m. on Channel
What happened
22.
with him? Maybe 3 a.m.
Don't know. Who knows?
Who
Or next
knows?
year, even. Are we playing next year? Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Here we are right now.
Yeah.
Proof of
So
it
will you?
actually happening.
You said something about a shell surrounding
Yeah.
the. I was like, okay.
Electron shells, yeah.
Yeah. Well, are they peanut shaped? Because there's a lot of peanuts in the programming.
One shell is a sphere.
darn.
Another shell looks like 2 teardrops. They go at the top and the bottom. Another shell looks like 4 blobs that kind of stick out on edges, and another shell look like other blobs that are in between the top blobs, the top lobes
Yeah.
of the top and the side. And what they do is they just occupy these tight little areas that look more and more like a sphere the more shells the thing has.
All right, how do they know all this stuff? Like, I've seen, in science class, they show you the model of what an atom looks like, and everybody knows what that model looks like, which is like.
Well, there's a thing called laser.
Oh, Carl won big time. You got 500 points. I got 500 points, but Carl got 1,500 points.
Wow! Holy crap!
Maybe we should call Mr. Ginsu to see if he's gonna choose a 6.
Really?
But I'm not gonna fight him.
Yeah, let's just leave him alone. He hasn't
I'm
called
not
us,
gonna
so
fight
we'll
him.
give him a day off.
I just wanna see if he.
Well, he hasn't called us, so we'll give
Golly,
him a day off.
that's coincidental. You picked a 6, and look at all those 6s that rolled and
Maybe
stuff.
you're a cheater.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a thing called laser cartography. There's another spectral cartography or something.
Mapping.
Like mapping, yeah. What they'll do is they'll take a biological sample like a virus, and they will concentrate a crystal with just the viruses. And then they will shine a laser through it at different angles, and depending on how the laser is reflected through the crystal and on the outside of the crystal, tells them more or less what the shape of that virus is. Like for instance, if you had a little pile of dice that were see-through, and they were just stuck in a pile, and you shined a laser through it, you would notice different patterns in the way the laser was deflected and reflected and absorbed and diffused and sent around, and you'd get a sense that there are objects with four sides or 6 sides in it. If it was 8-side, or if they were little tubes, you would get a reflection off the long end of the tube and off the 2 short ends. You'd get a sense of the shape of things. And so what they have done is they've done that to get a sense of the shape of crystals, the shape of viruses, the shape of different chemical compounds that they have no idea why they behave that way. So they isolate them and get them highly concentrated and shine a laser and see the way the laser bounce off of it, and mathematically they can get a sense of its shape. Well, you can do that with electrons. You get a gas, an electron gas, and you shine a laser through it, and or elements, whatever, like a hydrogen atom with 1 electron, or a oxygen atom with 8, and you can get a sense of what this looks like. And so there are different ways they can tease out the behavior of the electron to get a sense of the shape of the electron shell going around it. Yeah.
Hey, it's the end of the show.
Yeah.
Wow, you did it. We didn't talk to people. We didn't need all that stuff. Not at all. Electrons, neutrons, science.
I've not been on a program where we called McDonald's, I think, in months.
Oh yeah.
I kind of missed that, actually.
That's a veritable outrage.
We actually haven't been doing it that much recently. I think I don't know what happened. Do you think are we have more to say recently? I haven't been calling too many McDonald's. It's just been there's been other things to do.
8.
Well,
but thanks.
It might be more about habit than anything else.
Thanks, Paul and Dan. Thanks for being here today.
Well, thanks, Kitty, for hosting the
producer, Freddie.
Yeah, I think we didn't talk to anybody on the phone. Episode number 8, day of the week. Thank you. TCTV channel 22. Dan works there.
I do.
11:30 to 2 a.m.
Also, Freddie.
YDHWM.com. Check it out.
Also,
360-836-4384. Call in the message. You get a TV.
Carl's a volunteer
You guys
there.
are on the crew. Joe, Max.
Fred, Bill, Ted, Carol, Susan, Betty.
Carl gets top dollar here. The UFO FBI.
Billy, Ted,
TCTV. Crystal Ball. LeBaby. No. Jordy E. Fabulous. Thurston County, Washington State, USA. Thank you.
No, Carl.
Viewers only. No. Hell yeah, dog.
Wolfie, Wolfer, Wolf.
Bye.
Yeah, baby.
Bye.
Later.
Coming up in the next episode of the program.
Your daily out with me.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. It's the commercial.
Whoa.
We're over here. Today we talked to McDonald's about holiday pies. Carl's going to go to a social group.
Oh, yeah.
and we talk about that, and he's gonna wear a suit. You gonna get a suit? You get a tie?
No,
Just a regular suit.
just a button-up shirt.
We're on number 11:32 a.m. on TCTV Channel 22. Hello, 2017, and next week, somebody watch the program 268-364-24. Yeah, call the message on TV.
Oh yeah.